Alors, bonjour à toi, j'espère que tu vas super bien. C'est ton boy Fabio Le Saint de retour pour une nouvelle vidéo. Aujourd'hui, je suis avec des camarades de chez moi, tu vois, de Fossile. Nous sommes tous ici. Et j'ai décidé de les inviter pour qu'ils viennent nous parler au fait de leur MOS, qui est le System et Whisky. Et avant de commencer, si vous êtes aux États-Unis, si vous voulez faire une vidéo avec moi, si vous aimez ce que je fais, n'hésitez surtout pas à me laisser des commentaires. N'hésitez pas aussi à me faire des suggestions, des propositions de sujets par rapport à des gens que vous voulez que j'invite dans mes vidéos. Moi, ça me ferait grave plaisir. Et voilà quoi. Et sans plus tarder, j'invite mes gars sur... Et la vidéo sera en anglais, désolé, la vidéo sera en anglais. Mais je vais travailler pour essayer de trouver des sous-titres en français, tu vois, comme ça, ce sera plus facile pour d'autres, même s'ils ne parlent pas anglais, de pouvoir suivre la vidéo en lisant les sous-titres. Donc, je suis en train de travailler là-dessus. N'hésitez surtout pas à vous abonner, à laisser des pouces bleus, à laisser des commentaires. Également, il y a le super chat qui est activé. Vous pouvez toujours me donner de la force en donnant un super chat, bien un sticker pour essayer d'aider la chaîne à avancer. Donc, sans plus tarder, j'invite mes amis à venir sur scène. Maman! Hello, guys.
What's going on? What's going on?
Good. Hey, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming up in the show. I know you guys are busy after day, tired, but hey, I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate you having us.
You know, just thought
You probably should.
Because I mean, hold on.
All right. Since you guys are three people, you know, we can take turn and then introduce yourself. You know, we'll get to know you guys, and yeah, we'll go from there. Introduction. You know, introduce yourself. You know, we can get to know you.
He said he wants to do individual introduction.
Shit, we can start off with Big Boss Man over here.
I mean, I go by many names. You can call me Alex.
Alex. Okay.
Yeah, I joined originally back in 2012.
Okay.
With reserves in Intel. Realized it wasn't really for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a break, came back active because I was broke. And they offered me
just
infantry.
like that.
Yeah, man, it's hard out there. But I didn't want to really do infantry. Medicine is something I'm interested in, so I took combat medic, healthcare specialist, and just been making it work since then.
Nice. All right.
Well, I go by Fawn. You know, it's his average name.
Okay.
I joined, to be honest, I don't even know. I'm not gonna lie with you. I'm not gonna lie with you. I dropped out of school. I was just working.
Me too.
You would say. And then they told me 6A Whiskey was a good job, and I took it.
So you just joined because somebody said that was a good job. You're like, okay, I'll take it.
They told me medicine, and I ain't gonna lie, they told me there's gonna be females.
They did say that.
That's it.
They weren't lying all the way.
Yeah.
We get into that later though.
All right.
My name is Blake. I pretty much joined because I started a family and I wanted to have a secure job. Whenever I was coming in, I originally wanted to be a 15 November, which is a Blackhawk mechanic. They didn't have that job open, and if I'd have waited any longer,
I thought it's because you weren't smart enough.
That too. If I'd have waited any longer, then I wouldn't have been able to see my daughter get born. So I went ahead and took the 68 whiskey slot, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's a fun job. Get to work with these. Hey guys.
Hey. Hey, good stuff. Hey, honestly, like I said, we are both in the same unit. So every time I'm sick, they are the one who's taking care of me. So, sometimes they're like, I'm like, whatever, don't worry about it. Okay. I would like to know, each of you go take turn and tell me, how was the experience, or how did you decide to join the military? Oh, okay, like you already said, but how was the basic training basically?
So for me, it's kind of different because I did basic back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot more strict, and I went to basic at Fort Benning, which is the home of the infantry. Okay. So the drill sergeants I had were a little more hardcore. They took it a little more seriously, but I enjoyed it. Okay. I this time around didn't have to go to basic because I think it's like 5 years. I think if you were in the Army before and you've been to basic within 5 years, you don't have to go back, if I'm remembering right. But anyway, I didn't have to go back. So I guess for me, I really would have to talk more about AIT. That's where it was a lot of women. So, you know, if
it's
like
all about women.
Food,
Look at you, man. Okay.
If you like eating good food, you like being around a lot of pretty women,
Okay.
and you just like having fun all around, then being a medic isn't terrible. Because for me, being prior service, AIT, I got to go off post. I got to experience San Antonio. I got to experience a lot of women. I got to eat a lot of good food. But I mean, they could tell you more about how it was for like the first coming in, like you've never been in the military and you're just initial training, because their experience was a little different from mine.
Roger, that makes sense though. All right.
I mean, for me, it was easier, but it was kind of trash because it was during COVID. So
yeah, basic or AIT?
Both.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So basic, we had to do stuff with mask on.
Okay.
I imagine trying to run around, you know, dealing with stuff with the mask on.
Hey, that's enough fun.
It kind of sucks. But honestly, it wasn't too bad. Like, it wasn't as bad as, like, all these old heads like to say, you know, back in my day.
Back in my day.
I mean, but it's also a different army that we're getting into now.
100%.
Right.
100%.
And AIT it stuck at the beginning because we weren't allowed to go off post, and we had so many restrictions, and like COVID just screwed over a lot of stuff for a lot of people. It was honestly just annoying.
Right. And how long was the AIT though?
4 months.
4.5 months.
16 weeks.
16 weeks.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, my basic was pretty much the same. Mine was pretty cold. I actually did basic at the same place that I got stationed. So
where was it? Oh, here?
Yeah.
We both did.
Yeah.
We both left, went to Sam, and then came back.
Yeah, and for AIT, I was with good old Juan over here.
Okay.
We were in AIT for a little bit, and then whenever I was actually in Echo, and then I had to get recycled because I went on leave because that's whenever my daughter was born, and whenever I came back, I was a hold under in Echo with Juan, and then they sent me over to Fox, so I was in for like an extra 5 weeks for AIT, so mine was like 21, 22 weeks until I got out.
Extra 5 weeks at Fort Sam. That's prior service. Oh, that's another. Well, I guess for your audience, prior service doesn't really apply because they're probably mostly joining for the first time.
Yep, definitely. But you never know. You know, somebody can stop by and maybe who has been prior service, so you never know. Just if there's something to say, whatever, we take it.
That is valid.
All right. So like I said, for me, when I first joined, when I joined, because I never joined before. So when I joined, they said supply is a good job compared to your, you know, according to with your score and everything was a good job. Now that you are inside, like you are CCA whiskey, what are things that now use, like maybe they used to tell you about medic and now you realize that wasn't really like.
Oh, like stuff that didn't match up to.
Yep.
So I didn't know as much about this job as I thought I did, right? So especially coming from like an older army, all I knew about was combat medic.
Okay.
And there's really like two sides to our job, right? They have combat medic, they have healthcare specialists, right?
Okay.
The way that the army is running now, you do both jobs. But previously when I was in, there were a lot of people that they would take this job and they would only work in the clinic their whole career or the majority of their career, versus other people in the same job that will work only on the line, basically, or supporting a line unit their whole career, right? And the big difference is, it's kind of funny because we're kind of in that position right now, right? Yeah. Like, I haven't worked in the clinic yet since I've been here, by design, on purpose, because I don't like clinical medicine. Whereas he wanted to learn the clinical medicine, so he volunteered to go to the clinic. So right now, I'm working in the line or supporting the line where I'm getting to do stuff like sick call triage. So basically, somebody like you would come see me if they want to go to the clinic to see him, you know, or if you're walking from the bees and you hurt yourself, you know, myself, somebody like him is going to be the people that run up and take care of you and get you to the clinic to see him, where he's going to get you to a PA, right? So even further than that, we got a couple other buddies that they're stuck in the clinic 100%.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. We could come down, a whole post could come down on orders to deploy, and they're not leaving because they're that crucial. Yeah. Right. So they're basically only healthcare specialists. They don't get to do the field side of stuff. So we had a lot of people, and I'm sure y'all did too, like in the classroom, that they joined because they thought, oh, I'm joining this job because I used to be a nurse or I used to be a paramedic or whatever.
Right.
I'm only going to be working in like a hospital setting, versus people like me who had kind of a glorified field image where it's like, oh, I'm going to be running around with infantry and tankers and all these different kind of people. And when they get ouchies and boo-boos, or, you know, when they missing a piece of a leg or something like that, I'm the guy that's going to fix them, which is really both of them together.
I see. Okay. So anybody else want to share his experience, like what you thought it was at first and how it raised actually once like you joined the MOS?
To be honest, I didn't really know a lot about this job. They told me it was a good job. So I kind of went with the ride. And I mean, it's not a terrible job. It comes with its perks and stuff like that. You get treated a little bit better than a lot more people in the Army. But
depending where you are,
because some like we have buddies that work basically nonstop. Like they're going in at 4 a.m, not getting out to 7 in the afternoon.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like animals. So so it's like for us, it's not bad because my day starts at 7, ends at 3, so it's not bad. But
okay.
I mean, there's not a lot I could say because there's only so much time so much I've seen.
Medics do get forgotten a lot though, like compared to a lot of other MOSs. Like, so our unit is reactivating and they're taking care of everybody else, and we're kind of like an afterthought, right? Like when it comes to stuff like that, the stuff we had to kind of call in favors and work stuff out with other units to get the supplies that we have to be able to take care of soldiers. Whereas
buy it yourself.
Yeah, or buy it ourselves, right? Whereas other jobs that are in our same unit, because they're the main focus of the unit, they get stuff a little bit earlier. And that's kind of a common thing throughout the whole Army, just based on what I've found out talking to other medics that have been in longer.
No, that's I mean, that's not fair, because we need you. Because whenever you're sick or whatever, every morning, like you do PT, maybe you hurt yourself, the first person you go to see is like sick call or medic people. So maybe I might assume that maybe you guys are kind of essential to the mission more than maybe other MOSs, but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And now this question, I have this question. I would like to know, what do you do exactly? What is the job description as 68 Whiskey?
First of all, he's like what, like a description of our job, like I guess kind of like what's like an average day for us on the line.
So pretty much like an average day in the, at least in the ADA world, because like I was saying, this is my first duty station, so I can't speak for any other, fields or clinics or whatnot. But our usual day is usually we get up, we go to, PT at 6:30 in the morning. We work out until 7:30, or if you're on the schedule to run sick call, like you were saying, if someone's injured or say they're feeling down, they're feeling sick, then in the morning during PT hours, we'll have medics up in the office where we'll actually we'll basically treat, or how would you say that?
Like it's like triage almost. Like we're like determining if they really need to go to the clinic where he's at.
Yeah, they're basically just coming to us and getting checked out before we send them up further up to medical care, just to see if we can handle it ourselves or if someone else higher than us needs to see them.
Yes.
And then so we'll get off either PT or sick call around 7:30. Sometimes we got to stay a little bit later just to make sure that all of the patients are taken care of. And then we'll go home or to the barracks, depending on where you live. You'll go there, you'll do your, your hygiene, your, eat, shower, shave, whatever. And then you come back around 9. And then from then on till 11:30, you're pretty much just doing whatever your higher up or your leader is telling you to do, whatever your mission is for the day.
Okay.
which will be him for me.
Of course.
But you pretty much take care of those missions throughout the day, and then from 11:30 to 1300 is your lunchtime or your chow or whatever you want to do. Take a break, go walk. Whatever you want to do between those hours is, I mean, that's up to you. And then from 13 to 17, you're doing the same thing as, right before lunch, just carrying out your mission, trying to get that done, taking care of people as they come in. And I mean, really, that's about it.
Yeah, that's more of the like how you would say the combat medic side, because that's the side where you're working with other soldiers.
Exactly, because it's a combat medic. So basically, you might assume that maybe you're gonna be on the field doing all those
stuff like that. Like, we're supporting whenever they do field activity. That's the combat medic side, as you would say. For me right now, I'm more on the healthcare specialist side. My day's a little different from theirs. How they would go to PT.
Tell us about your day though, by the way.
For them, how they would go to PT 06:30 and 7:30 PT and stuff. But I don't do that because I start my day at 7. My day starts at 7, and I am seeing patients all day. I see patients from 7 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So from during that block of time, I'm basically working the whole time. So like after that, you've seen them. After you've seen them, and they come into like to our sick call at the actual clinic. Then I'm the one that's screening you, asking what's wrong, and then that's when the PA will come and talk to you, stuff like that. And my day doesn't stop until 3, so I don't get like the actual lunch break, as they would say.
On a good day.
Yeah, on a good day, because I mean, right now it's not terrible. It's pretty slow. Knock on wood. That hopefully it stays like that.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been like too crazy. We've only been seeing just COVID patients and stuff like that, just dealing with that, and then pushing it every day. But my day just continues 7 to 3 o'clock, and then after 3 o'clock, I'm off. So I get to do, either go to the gym, eat, go out, stuff like that. So it's not terrible.
The only thing that I would add to it for the combat medic side of it, we also like train soldiers up on medical care. So like we call it
CLS and stuff.
Right. So making sure that somebody will be able to kind of help us out when we're on a training or like we're in the field, we're on deployment, things like that, right? Because realistically, when we deploy, like I might be by myself supporting 30, 40 people, and I'm the only medic, and it's me and maybe a PA, which is like my boss when we're on deployment, right? So we train people up inside that 30 to 40 that know basic level stuff, so they can kind of help me out if we ever are moving around and somebody gets hurt. But in addition to all of that stuff they just said, for the combat medic side, I mean, we kind of get shit on sometimes. Like it comes down to where we're not even doing anything medical. You know what I'm saying? Like if they just need bodies to do something, like, oh, we need to take pictures, we need soldiers out there. Oh, we need to move furniture. We need to push a vehicle because it's deadlined. If you know what I'm saying, like because medics are always around the AO, like the operating area.
Okay.
If they need people, we're there. You know what I'm saying? If they need people to clean up, if they need people to pretty much just fill a slot that they might not be able to depend on anybody else for, the medics are there kind of supporting that. And that's even if you're working at like a surgical hospital where you got to set up the tents, see patients, break down the tents all by yourself because it's all medics and there's no like maintenance or stuff like that around. So you're kind of every MOS kind of person, if that makes sense. Because sometimes you got to do vehicle maintenance. Sometimes you got to, it's just, we fly by the seat of our pants type thing, whatever the mission they put before us, we get it done.
Nice. I mean, it's all like a lot of fun though.
It can be. It definitely can be. Yeah. Because a lot of times when a lot of other soldiers have to like stand in formation for hella long, or they have to do extra details that just take them away from the AO for a while. Like we as medics are usually kind of sitting in the background or we're in our office because at the same time, even though they'll pull us for random stuff, they also realize we need to be available to support. Like if somebody get hurt, they got to be able to know exactly where we are and that we can get there quick and we're not busy doing something that don't really matter. So it's a trade-off.
Do you guys get really busy sometime? Like maybe let's say at the hospital, like, isn't it some days where like it's crazy, super, super, super busy where you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's too much. You know, is this something like this sometimes?
It depends person to person. It just depends how people take it. Because for me personally, it hasn't been too crazy where I'm like super stressed out. I mean, recently, kind of, because it was a new system that we changed into, and we didn't know how it was gonna work. Okay. And then we were kind of in the blind for a little bit of while. So trying to see patients and trying to learn a new system, that was kind of a little stressful because you were seeing patients come in, and people are waiting for hours and they're asking and stuff like that. So you're losing scheduled appointments, stuff like that. It was like a little stressful. Not so much for us, but more for the PAs. And then what happens is the PAs get stressed out, they get really upset, and they start like kind of they start taking it out on kind of the medics. The medics get shit on a lot. And then since we're, soldiers, as they say, we can't really talk back to them because either they're civilians or they're officers. So you can't, since they're higher echelon, you can't talk back to them. So you kind of take whatever they say to you.
I mean, that kind of happens on our side too, a little
bit.
You know what I'm saying? Because he was there and on our side, a few months ago, you were still back with us in the battalion. I mean, the same thing kind of happens with us sometimes where we have stuff that we need to do because we need to, retrain on our medical skills, or we need to train a class, kind of like right now. Like, all three of us are training up CLS right now, but at the same time, there's a lot of moving parts going on back at the headquarters building, and we're having to basically bounce between both things. And then you got like Blake that's doing some extra stuff for his trying to get a medical badge. So having to balance it all comes down. I mean, you kind of had that in any job, right? You got to balance like your personal life with multiple things in your work life, and try to make a bunch of people happy at one time while staying happy yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because, like, for example, Blake, he also has a family, so also has to take care of the family. Or like me, I don't really have a family, but I also have goals that I want to aspire to, like become a PA and getting into school, and also dealing with the clinic. It just becomes overwhelming and stress out like that. Yeah, that kind of takes a toll on a person.
Yeah. One thing to your viewers, one thing you got to consider too is whether or not you want to be. I don't want to say always be a follower, but if you want to become a leader, you kind of have to take stuff like that into account. Right. Like if you have a family, if you don't have a family, if you have goals that might not get in the way of, but conflict with duties as a leader, right? Because when you're a leader, like we joke about it and everything, but like right now I'm in a leader position. They're kind of trying to like train me up or like mold me into a better leader. So I get more responsibilities throughout the day, right? I'm more responsible for other soldiers. So for instance, if Blake messes up at work, they're mad at Blake, but they're more mad at me for not making sure that he didn't mess up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or when my boss wants something done, he just says to me, he says to me and the other soldier that's at my same position, hey, this is what I need done today, for the next week, for the next month, whatever the case may be. And then he just counts on us to make it happen. Right? So if it doesn't happen in that timeline, my boss is looking at our soldiers like, yo, why didn't y'all support my two leaders? But even more so, he's looking at myself.
You're right.
My battle, like, yo, I told you I wanted to get it done. I told you how to get it done. Why didn't it, come to fruition type thing?
I think in the army, that's where it's very shitty to be like squad leader or a leader, because if you don't get your squad or your people to do what they have to do, move with the purpose, all those stuff, you take the responsibility for the mistake. And
that's 100% right. I think the two hardest ranks in the army, for people who don't know, is E4 and E5. The reason being is at E4, you're still getting paid as a junior enlisted, which is not that much compared to like NCOs and officers.
Right.
But at E4, you're expected to act the same as an E5. You're expected to do the same job as an E5, be just as accountable as an E5, but you don't get the E5 pay. And then at E5, it's kind of the same thing, but E5 to E6. So they want you to do everything that the E6 would do, but you're not getting the pay. You don't get the same level of respect. So you just have to like kind of factor that stuff in when you're picking your job and deciding if you really want to be a leader in the enlisted side or if you want to be a leader on the officer side. Like they have their pros and cons.
I see. Interesting. And now this question comes to my mind. Since you guys has joined, what is your favorite moment for being like CCA whiskey?
My
one of my favorite moments of being 68 Whiskey is, which is also on the upside of being a medic, is whenever you get put on a detail that, for example, we got put on a detail to go support an Avenger range, and Avengers are basically a Humvee with a big 50 cal on the back.
Okay.
And we got put on that detail because they didn't know like where their medics were, so they didn't have any medics for their battalion to be out there. So they had to pull from our battalion, and us three got pulled, and we got to go out there and support them on their live fire. They were shooting live 50 cals, full auto 50 cals, and at the end of the day they had extra ammo, and since we were out there helping support, they let us like practice on it.
Basically,
that might be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so medics, I mean, there's a lot of upsides to being a medic, because whenever you're out there supporting, I mean, they're gonna always let their medic have fun with them. So depending on where you're supporting, depends on what you might, encounter, come in contact with training wise. You can support any type of training.
I see.
I would have to agree with Blake on that. That was definitely a high point. I think another high point for me, just to give a different experience, was we were doing. It was me and you, right, Juan, and and a few medics from 5.5, where we got pulled basically to train a totally different battalion up on, like how they can support their soldiers medically, and if there aren't medics around, if there isn't CLS around, what they can do to help out, make sure they bring everybody back home, right?
Okay.
And me and Juan we just gonna go out there, do our thing, do our job, right? And long story short, there were people in that battalion that enjoyed our level of training so much that we got recognized for it, right?
Nice.
And for me, it kind of drove the point home that as a medic, it's one of the jobs that you can pick in the Army where as long as you know your job, even when it sucks in the Army, because every job the Army's gonna suck at some point.
Oh, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like they say that phrase, it suck, right? So every job has its suck, but no matter how bad it gets as a medic, if you're good at your job and people can depend on you, they're gonna be able to. They're gonna take care of you at some point. Whether it's getting you an award, getting you off of a detail, giving you extra time to chill, like that. So that's kind of the high point for me, is from what I can see. Even when it gets annoying, like dang, we always working, dang, we always at battalion, and I see soldiers that back at their B's all day. The fact that we put that time in, put them hours in, and everybody knows who we are, and knows we good at our job, it comes back to benefit when we're not even expecting it. It's times where, like, hey, look, just go home. Don't even worry about working today. Or, if we need you, we'll call you. You know what I'm saying? Like, we get those little benefits here and there just because we take our job serious, and whenever we can help somebody medically, we do it.
That's interesting. What about you, Mendoza? Do you have any? What is your favorite moment of being 68 Whiskey since you joined?
My biggest thing is honestly all the knowledge that I've picked up, not only just in the medical field, but as a person, because like you meet so many people coming in, so many different characters, so many different backgrounds, stuff like that, and it's just talking to new people and stuff like that. I kind of found it was kind of like a helpful tool talking to people, because I'm young, I'm still not super experienced, so like with life in general, so I'm learning new tools, new ways to succeed in life and stuff like that from just talking to people, and also at the same time learning good medical stuff that I can use in the civilian side. So it's just my biggest thing is just knowledge.
Now you mentioned something that I like. You said you can use all the knowledge you had on the civilian side. What, as a 68 Whiskey, what are the, I would say, outlets, like in civilian world, if you are like 68 Whiskey, what are the opportunity you can get after you get out of the military as a 68 Whiskey?
So as an automatic 68 Whiskey, once you pass your AIT, you're automatically EMT basic. So once you get out, like let's say you just do 4 years, basic minimum, you don't do anything. 60, you come out, you can become an EMT.
What is the EMT though?
EMTs are just they usually ride with paramedics.
Hey, we gotta ask, yes?
Yeah.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I know what an EMT is, but they like adding more duties.
Yeah, so like EMT basics are starting to get more stuff, but basically what EMT basics are, they ride with paramedics. on the civilian side, they write paramedics. They go out to, let's say, somebody calls in because somebody got hurt, and you're basically helping the paramedic out on whatever they need. So
oh, like is that those people in the ambulance and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh,
drive the ambulance, or actually that's the majority of what EMT
EMTs don't really do a whole lot. So you start getting into the paramedic side.
Okay.
Get a paramedic.
That's the people that's in the back of the ambulance.
Ambulance, okay. Nice.
To become a paramedic, because it's possible to become a paramedic through the Army, you have to go through what they call a special operation. It's called SOCM. I don't know the actual, like what the full name stands for, but it's a higher level of education that you get, and you get a paramedic certification out of it. And that's
nice.
For the Army, that's cool. The Army is the only branch that gives certification for when it comes to the medical field. The Navy has corpsmen, and the Air Force, I forget what they're called. They also have medics, but they don't get. I'm not sure exactly, but they also don't get the qualification that we get, which is the cool thing about the Army. And so you could do paramedics, and after the paramedics, right, you go through SOCM. You have a possibility to get into the PA program, which is physician assistant.
Oh, okay. Nice.
With that program, is basically, you apply to it. There's only 50 slots that get per year. So you get the chance to do it. You basically go through school. The Army pays for it. You do the 3 years or 4 years, however long it is to get to the schooling. And then you sign up again to do those 4 years, but you commission as an officer. And then you do the 4 years as a physician assistant to the Army. And then you come out and you have the credentials of physician assistant. And it's all paid for to the Army. Granted, you do have to give time to the Army, and you're,
I think it's equal. I think it's like you said.
Yeah, it's so like that.
No, for PA.
And there's other. They also have a lot of other opportunities. Like say Charlie's, they're nurses. So you come out with a nurse certification. There's physical therapists. You come out with certification like that. Respiratory therapists. So there's a lot of opportunities.
It's dope though, because so he gave like one option for how you can go from just a regular 68 whiskey all the way to a PA, right? That's probably the best option in terms of like getting full knowledge and like knowing all sides of the job. But so he mentioned going special forces, right? That's going to automatically have you like, I think it works out to be about a semester, maybe 2 semesters of classes that you would have to take through a college to get your full PA.
Okay.
But you come out paramedic. But also, I mean, just the fact that if you want to be like a medic who works on like on a helicopter, what we call a flight medic, you can take you can actually go through the schooling through the Army, or you can take the civilian courses to get your paramedic certification and your flight certification, and then basically turn that in through your command, and you would be able to then drop a packet or submit paperwork to be able to become a flight medic. The same kind of thing with a PA. Like if you're going through school, it's a little more difficult for scheduling for PA, but if you're going through school through the Army, then you can drop a packet to go PA because you already have the credits without having to go through like the PA program the same way that somebody who didn't have the credits went through it, right?
Oh, nice.
So the Army. I always tell people that want to do things with their Army career, or they want to have something to fall back on when they get out, is you kind of have to ask around, do your own research, and then with doing that research, you'll find out that you can make the Army work for you the same way that you work for the Army. You just have to be willing to put the time in and find those resources, right? And if you're willing to sacrifice, you know what I'm saying, blowing the money that you get on the 1st to 15th to go to the club or to travel and stuff, and kind of sit back home, go to school type thing, then within your first contract, you really can set yourself up to be an officer, or to be a more well-qualified enlisted soldier, or to be a more well-qualified civilian.
Right.
Like you just really have to have a plan. I would say not even before you join, but within your first contract, whether that's within the first year, but before your enlistment window opens up, you should know like, okay, the Army is for me, and this is what I can do to make my career better, or the Army's not for me, so I have X amount of time to get the most out of the Army. Because I mean, you got to think about it. Even like right now, we're at a homie's house who, because of his service in the military, was able to purchase a home.
Right.
At a much earlier age and for a lot less money than he would have been able to had he stayed a civilian.
Give it a kind of a reference on how that works. I've only had credit for probably about 2 years, like some good credit. And I only had my truck on it. And since being in the military, I've opened a credit card. I bought a brand new 2022 motorcycle and a house.
I mean, 10.
But you using like he was saying, using the military to your advantage, as long as you're smart with your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like me personally, I know that since I have my bike, my truck, and my house, those are all payments. Which if I don't make, then you can default on the loan and you can get that taken away, right? So it's like a privilege. So whenever I'm paying my bills, I always make sure to pay those first because I know that one, they're on my credit. Two, if I don't pay them, they're gonna come get them.
Right.
And three, it's just good to have it's good to pay on stuff that's on your credit because, I mean, obviously if you don't, then it's gonna ruin your credit. And once you
jeopardize your job.
Yeah.
Like for your
and one thing to keep in mind whenever you go to finance stuff though, we actually had a little brief about what was it yesterday at the formation promotion? Yesterday or Friday. I can't remember. Friday. So it was Friday. Our one of the staff sergeants that works in our section, he was saying that your security clearance, like they're making an Army standard that everyone has to have at least a secret clearance, and in order to retain that secret clearance, you have to have you can have debt like loans and financing, but you can't have like an extraordinary amount of debt. Because then if you do, then you're a danger to the military because you're actually going to cost the military money.
Right. So
you have to keep in mind, you got to balance out your finances. And then another thing that he was saying, whenever you go, if say you do want to go flight warrant and stuff like that, you got to keep in mind that if you go that route, Special Forces, flight warrant, PA, say you pass everything, because it's a hard, all three of those are real hard courses, right? So say you get to the end, you pass everything, and you go to your first unit. Whenever you get there, you can't expect to be like extremely welcomed in. You have to kind of, even though you passed the school, that doesn't really mean anything to people that are picking you up.
Right.
Especially Special Forces, because they have to
you have to get put on the team.
Yeah, there's people that have been sitting that are Special Forces that haven't been put on a team for a year and a half, 2 years.
Well, I don't want to say longer because usually if you wait that long, they're going to kick you back.
Yeah.
Right. So you did all the hard work. You went through the process of getting selected, which is like basic condensed down into about a week and a half.
Okay.
Harder. Right. So you passed selection. You got selected. You went through SOCM, which is teaching you advanced medical skills. You went through SEER, which is teaching you advanced survival skills. You went through Airborne, which is teaching you how to jump out of a plane and not hurt yourself or anybody else around you, right? And then additional trainings that you have to go through to officially become Special Forces, right? You attain a higher rank by going through it if you're not already an NCO.
Okay.
And at the end of all of that, you are now qualified to be Special Forces, right? And for the track that we will most likely go if we're going Special Forces, I'm actually looking at it myself, right? You're qualified to be a medic for the people who are doing the stuff you see in movies, right? Who are doing stuff that you don't hear about on the news, right? But just because you're qualified doesn't mean that you're immediately getting picked up, kind of to the point that Blake was making, right? You have to have the skills, like as far as your job, but you also have to have people skills, right? So you can't be, I don't have to be nice to Blake and Juan because I'm a good medic. I'm the best medic they had. You got to be the best medic that came out and be able to interact with a team. Because if no team likes you, you're not getting picked up. You're not Special Forces. And now, because you've taken on a different job, because it falls under a different job code, if they don't pick you up, now the Army can say, you know what? I need more cooks. I need more mechanics. I need more, artillerymen. I need more infantrymen. And they can force slot you into that job. Because you have to re-enlist for all those programs we told you about, flight medic, Special Forces medic, PA, you have to re-enlist while you're going through that training because the Army looks at it as you're an investment. I'm spending millions of dollars to train you. So it makes sense for me to spend millions of dollars just to train you for you to get out. So now you got to give another 4 to 6, 7 years, right, of your life to the Army, which is fine. But if you're not truly dedicated, if that's not really what you want to do, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because now the Army has you for another extended period of time, right? So
yes,
that's why I said, back to my earlier point, you just got to really plan it out and like do as much research as you can outside of just things like this, like what you're doing for your viewers.
So bouncing off what he just said, he mentioned that you're going to have to give more time to the military. Whenever he was talking about that for your viewers, that's, those of you who don't know, if you go Special Forces or CA or PsyOps, whenever you sign up for that, you actually sign a longer contract. So you're basically cutting your initial contract.
It's initial 5
short.
years.
Yeah.
5? Wow.
The initial 5 years, because you have to spend your first 3 years at your first duty station.
Yeah. So for example, he's on the pipeline. Like he's trying to get on the pipeline to go Special Forces, right? So he's gonna have to stay here for at least, I thought it was 18 months.
It's so the typical standard for your first duty station as a single soldier is 18 months to 24 months at your first duty station. However, when you're doing things like Special Forces, I believe PA falls under the category, and as well as flight warrant. There are certain pieces of paperwork that can be put in where they may be able to waive about 6 months of that. So you may be able to leave at 12 months. Right? But if you flunk out of the pipeline at any point, if you get through the pipeline and decide you don't want to do it, if you get through the pipeline and they decide they don't want you to do it, then you, at this point, you've already signed a contract for an additional 5 years. The Army has you as basically an employee. If you want to call it that, you know?
Yeah.
So and I think that was kind of the point he was getting to. Like, you just really have to plan it out. You just have to know what you're doing. You have to be dedicated to it and make it happen.
Yeah, you really got to.
You know, it's not like getting a job at Circle K where you can, hey, I want a job. You know what? I don't like this. I'm gonna quit. That's not really how the Army works, especially in those when you're getting into the higher level of certifications.
It's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah,
it's really what it is. Time, dedication.
Especially if you have or plan on having a family, going that kind of route is it's real hard on yourself and your significant other. Or if you already have kids, then it's going to be hard on them too, because you're going to be gone for so long. And I mean, if you do get picked up, then your deployments are going to be relatively short, but really frequent. So you're going to be in and out all the time. So I mean, you just got to think about that. And if you are thinking about doing that, or you're already in and you're watching this, then you got to make sure you talk to your spouse about that, because I mean, it's going to affect them a lot.
It's ruined a lot of relationships and a lot of families because people didn't get as much information as they should have, or they didn't really understand what they were getting into.
That's true. Wow, that was very. I learned a lot of stuff. Like that was very interesting. As now, it's gonna be my last question because it's about rain. I see it's all the way black out there. I would like to ask, would you guys recommend 68 whiskey to anybody who want to join the military? When considering the benefit, considering the opportunity you have after you get off the military?
You can't necessarily recommend an MOS to somebody because, like I said, it all depends on what your initial reason for joining is and what you just like to do as a hobby. Because if you get in trying to pick,
I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh, okay. if you get in, you pick a job that you think is going to be a good job to get out with, then you should probably rethink what you're getting into, because a lot of jobs. One misconception that people have of the military is that no matter what job you get, you can use that training outside the military, which is wrong because
not true.
Yeah. Medic is a perfect example. People think that they can go 68 whiskey and get out with a doctor's degree. You can't do that.
Without extra work on the back end.
Yeah. You can do that, but at the basic 68 whiskey, you can't do that. You have to go through a bunch of different training, and you have to go. That's a whole different pipeline that you have to do on your own time.
Right.
As a 68 whiskey, you get out with an EMTB license, which I think the military is trying to change it to where 68 whiskey gets their paramedic license.
Yeah.
Because we were able to do advanced interventions, such as like a cricoidotomy, I said that right. MPAs, stuff like that. Basically anything that involves like poking a hole in somebody or cutting somebody, right? As an EMT, you can't do that, but as a paramedic, you can. And another thing, I forgot what I even started with. What did I start with?
So you're talking about like transferability of job skills.
Yeah. Okay. Back to your original question. The recommendation part. Me, for example, I wanted to be, like I said, a mechanic on helicopters. Right? Eventually, down my career, I plan on becoming a flight warrant, which we talked about a little bit.
Right.
That would if I would have got that MOS, then that would have been my foot in the door, because in order to become a flight warrant, you have to have a recommendation by a warrant officer who's a flight warrant. And if you're working on Blackhawks, someone has to fly those, which is a warrant officer, so you're around them all the time. So it's easier to get a recommendation to go the pipeline that I'm trying to go down. But for me, in my situation, it didn't work out. I'm not mad about how it went down. But, I mean, it all really depends on what you like to do. Like, before I joined, I was working in chemical refineries, and I was a mechanic, and I did a lot of, like, hands-on stuff. And
I heard you.
But I mean, yeah, if you're interested in medicine and you're interested and you like helping people, and I mean, you just like being a person-to-person like conversationist, I guess, then that would be a decent job. You're not really going to know if you 100% like it until after you try it. I mean, that's really what everything.
The biggest thing with MOS, don't always believe what the recruiters say.
Don't ever believe it.
Don't ever believe a recruiter. Yes, that one, 100%. Don't believe them.
Well, the recruiters that get you in the Army.
Right?
Yeah.
That gets
like
you the
Special Forces recruiters, or I think they have recruiters for the PA program, right? Yeah. It's just a program.
But that's not that. The majority of recruiters want numbers. I was fortunate enough. My recruiter was actually he was pretty straightforward with me. He pretty much like told me how it was. There was a couple of things that he could have cleaned up, but overall, my recruiter was a good recruiter. He did try really hard to get me the job that I originally wanted, but like I said, in my personal decision, I went another route, right, which is medic, which I'm not. Like I said, I'm not, mad about the way I went. So there are those golden recruiters out there that'll tell you how it is, and it also depends on your area, like, because different areas need different numbers. So really your best bet is to tune into channels like this where it's actual people in the military giving you straight information, or just doing your own research. I do know that there is another medic YouTube channel. I can't remember his name, but he gives some pretty good information. And he doesn't really, try to
sell you stuff.
He doesn't sugarcoat it. But you really have to do your own research.
It's really the biggest key.
Yeah.
The key. Yep.
I would say two things. Like in addition to talking to real life, talking to soldiers, looking at soldiers actually, presenting themselves online. The biggest thing I can suggest to anybody joining the military is, if you're interested in medicine, two things. One, if you're interested in medicine, there's more jobs in the medical field than just a medic, right? There's lab techs, there's respiratory therapists, there's behavioral health specialists, there's physical therapists. Like, there's all these different jobs that fall under the 68 series, which is the medical series.
Right.
In addition to that, even more important, I would say don't join under crunch time, right? So if you're looking at a situation where you're in a bad relationship that you think might be ending soon, and you depend on that person for like where you live, how you eat, or you're trying to get citizenship maybe, or you're like whatever the situation may be, you're in high school and you're about to graduate, you don't really know what to do with your life, right? You should be looking at the jobs that the Army offers, the programs that the Army offers, whether it's scholarships, job programs, right? All those different things, you should be looking at least 6 months in advance. You should be talking to a recruiter at least 6 months in advance, because what that allows you to do is you can go online and look up Army regulations. and know whether or not you have to make certain changes to yourself based on Army regulations. And if you don't, what paperwork you need to submit, right? You can talk to a recruiter in January because you know you don't plan to join until June or December and say, hey, I think I want to join the Army. And they're gonna say, well, hey, try this, try that. And you go, oh, I don't really want to hear that right now, right? And you can wait. And every single day, the needs of the Army changes when it comes to the jobs that they're trying to slot people for.
Yep.
Because if you're talking to a recruiter in January and you plan on joining in December, that gives you that gives you over 300 days to figure out what job you really want. You might lose a job that popped up on Monday, but on Wednesday they might have a job that you want even more. Right? The whole time you can be doing that research. You can be talking to soldiers. You can be watching a channel like this, right? So with this or anything in life, planning is key. But especially the military. Like you should definitely, if you're really considering doing it because it's a life-changing experience, right? You're gonna be gone from your family for at least 10 weeks as soon as you join. Then after that, you may or may not be gone for 4 weeks all the way up to a year or two, where you're just doing military training, right? So you really plan those things out. You really gotta do your research on your back end. You really gotta talk to the recruiter and like be like, yo, like really level with me. You know, what's available? What can I really make happen? How's that really gonna benefit me? Like the people that I've seen be most successful in the military are officers because they already had a degree and they already knew what they wanted out of life.
Right.
People who joined later in life, like in their late 20s, their early 30s, right? Because they've already worked jobs, they've already maybe gone to school and dropped out, or maybe finished school, and they know this is what I want. I'm not in a rush to get it because I need to get it the best way possible. So they're researching multiple ways to get to that goal. That's the biggest thing.
All right, Mendoza, you want to say one last thing?
Shit, I mean, it's just everything they just said is really what it is. Just research. It's really what it is. Like any job, especially, but this one is mainly really do your research because this is a lot of years, especially for people that have family, people that come from families that are very close. You can live in there for a longer time. You don't know where you're gonna end up. You can end up 2 hours from your home, or you can end up across overseas.
Right.
And you won't be able to see your family for a year. So you just gotta really think about what you want to do in the future and really research what you want to do. Kind of have a plan, somewhat of a plan.
Hey guys, hey, I can't we should. As I was like, oh, it's gonna be very short, and now we end up doing 52 minutes. Hey, it was very nice having you. It was very nice hearing from you, learning from your experiences. I hope this video will help people who really considering joining as 50cc whiskey. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you guys be doing. I'm not gonna hold you along because I know you guys got a lot of stuff going on this night. So hey, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming.
Quick question: How many people are watching?
There was actually 10, and since it is in English, most they left because they're not. I need to figure out how to do the put the subtitle in French whenever I make English videos, and figure out how to put subtitle in English when I make French videos. Then try to keep everybody engaged. But yeah.
Hey,
but yeah,
we appreciate you having us, boss. We, you know what I'm saying, we hope we help somebody.
Oh, of course you did. You did. There was 15 on the video, so that means some people enjoy. So that was nice.
Beautiful chocolate skin, you know.
Hey, that's your time to shine, brother. Anyway, so thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming up, and maybe I can maybe have you another time, maybe to talk about something else related to your job or related to military. So thank you for making time for me. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
One quick note before you leave. I think eventually you should do a male female comparison on the medical field, because there is a pretty big difference on treatment and just overall
Hey, okay.
Well, I guess
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know any female in the medical field. So since you guys are in the medical field, can you maybe set me up with somebody so we can plan something together? That'd be nice.
Yeah, I got you, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, brother. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming, and have a good evening and have a good, wonderful night, brothers.
Oh yeah, take it easy, man.
Yeah, bye. All right. Hey, thank you so much. Merci à vous tous qui étaient fait dans cette vidéo. And yeah, ça a été intéressant de parler avec eux. C'est des amis qui sont... Actuellement, nous sommes tous sur la même base. Nous sommes tous sur la même base. Ils sont tous sur la même base que moi. Actuellement, ils sont en bas, moi, je suis en haut. Et voilà, quoi. Ça a été un plaisir de partager avec eux. Ils sont dans mon unité. Et je ferai de plus en plus de vidéos comme ça où je parlerai avec des gens. Et je vais trouver un moyen de pouvoir avoir des sous-titres en français. Comme ça, les gens qui ne comprennent pas anglais pourront... voilà, pourront apprendre davantage et puis sincèrement c'est cool. Merci à vous tous. Je sais que la vidéo est en anglais, c'était pas prévu. Merci à Salmon, merci à Wilfried, merci à Situ, merci à Côte d'Ivoire, Ouattara. Ouais, Wilfried, c'est pas grave. Tu peux toujours regarder la vidéo, tu peux toujours voir la rediffusion et puis voilà. Il y a plein de choses à apprendre, surtout pour les gens qui sont intéressés au domaine médical de l'armée et voilà. Allez, passez une très bonne journée. Une très bonne nuit. Il fait très tard. Je pense qu'il est 1 heure ou 2 heures au pays. Donc, passez une très bonne nuit. Je vous dis à demain. Le jeudi, je serai sur une chaîne Diaspora africaine où je serai interviewé. Vendredi, j'ai une vidéo à venir. Samedi, une vidéo à venir. Dimanche, une vidéo à venir. Donc, je serai très busy. Je serai très actif ces derniers temps. Et puis, pouce bleu, commentaire, abonnez-vous à la chaîne. Et voilà. Bonne nuit à tous. Fabio Le Saint. Dormez bien.